The first game to save a player's progress was The Legend of Zelda. That was way back in 1986, and it wasn't standard at that point. Nowadays, it's the norm. We don't make games that don't save, for the most part. I mean, most games save. But what makes that happen? How does that data magically bring you back to the point you were at so you don't have to repeat areas of the game? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx we ask the question, how do save files work in video games? Well, let's quickly set up what a game is. A game is ultimately a loop of instructions. It contains a lot of if this, then that conditions that also depend on a lot of different values. When quest is completed, add 1 to quest complete value. If quest complete value is more than 0, then this various list of things, what quests are now available, what areas are open, and even how NPCs act basically follow this format. It's not exact, like it's not quest complete or things like that. It's whatever the game developer wants, which is usually determined by what the game developer thinks they can keep track of. And then I think it's pretty easy to figure out exactly what a save file is. However, you're probably doing it in a much more abstract process, and specifics kind of feel better. So being a game is set up like that, all of those different values need to be saved in a file, obviously. I mean, like I said, you probably figured that out already. But what I bet you didn't really think of is how in-depth that actually is. If you truly save the full state of an open world and everything in it so that when you come back to it, everything is absolutely the same, you're talking about every single object's X value, Y value, Z value, rotational values, scale values, etc., etc. What that means is if you're creating a save file that is that detailed, you're going to be recording significantly more data, but it also takes more time to load. Depending on how you write the loading processes, perhaps a long time. And also, let's be completely honest, not every single item needs to be in the place you left it. We've all played Grand Theft Auto enough to know that a lot of stuff changes. Oftentimes the game randomly spawns a few cars on the road. I don't think they typically save specific cars unless you own them and have placed them in or on your own property. And to be clear, it's worked different for different Grand Theft Auto games in the past. For instance, the only way to save a vehicle in Grand Theft Auto 3 was to put it in a garage. It's not the only way now, but it's also, again, not the most important thing in the world. If the game spent all of its time recording where you drop certain items, how many versions of a single item need to exist in the world because you've dropped them all over the place, and then had to record all of that data and then load it later, it would be fairly inefficient. Now, in some cases, you'll see the physics used to place items relatively. That means it does save that an item was there, but doesn't save the full value. Probably just XYZ, and then drops it so that it lands in a place that is relatively similar to where it was. This would probably take place out of the player's eyesight and therefore probably isn't noticeable. Another trick that might be done, just in case the locations of various items happens to be a big thing, is to create some form of compression to use on the save file. For instance, let's say that certain items might have certain values, and those values might repeat a lot in the save file. Let's say instead of that value having to be stored as 3 numbers every single time, they stored it as X. I mean, it restricts how X can be used, but that is a form of compression that could, in theory, greatly reduce the size of a save file. In some cases, this may also be done specifically to avoid the player modifying the save file. You may have noticed that sometimes save files come in the form of like a .dat or .some random value you've never heard of before. And when you open it up, it looks like a bunch of goofy symbols that make no sense whatsoever. This isn't necessarily because of compression. I mean, it's probably down to a similar bit, but they may have encoded the file, not just to reduce the space, but to reduce your ability to change anything. Unless you can decode it, modify it, and re-encode it, you may not be able to modify that file in any way. The interesting thing about understanding exactly how much data has to be saved in order to save every specific part of a game and what state it is in almost can change your view of what a game looks like from the outside. So many large-scale things are reduced down to numbers. A player character may simply be a collection of values that tell the game where you're supposed to start playing from. Oh yeah, this is where I left off. I pressed save here. Also, that bread was rotated 50 degrees, and at X 26, Y -20, and Z 300. I don't know, I'm just making up numbers. Also, you wouldn't believe it, but I completed a bunch of those quests. In fact, these are the specific ones I've completed. Also, I've stolen stuff from that NPC's house. I don't feel bad about it, you just need to know so I can't steal it again. Although, if you let me steal it again, I'm gonna. Like, come on. It's the easiest way to pick up items. That or hacking the save file, which you gone ahead and encoded and or compressed it, so heck with that. Hey, did you include a, rewind mechanic, like braid or something? Yeah, you made those save files really interesting, didn't you? Hopefully you were like, actually, we're not gonna let them rewind after they load a save. That's not happening. Otherwise, you spent a lot of time on that save system, and I don't envy you. So, not too difficult, but not everybody thinks about these types of things, and in case you ever feel like you're gonna make a game in the future, now you know. If you ever hacked a save file, be honest. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. Click that subscribe button, and also don't forget to click the notification bell. And we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon, you can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.